Hello and welcome back to another episode of VGC Guides, the show where I take a Pokemon and break down how to use it so you don't have to. Once again, these guides are VGC focused, and some of what I say may not translate to Smogon singles. Today, we're talking about one of the most menacing Pokemon to come to Gen 9. Of course, I'm talking about Bisharp's new evolution, Kingambit. Will this bladed Bushido Pokemon reign supreme in VGC, or will his rule be usurped before it even begins? Kingambit has got to be my favorite Pokemon to come to Gen 9. This thing looks cool, right? It looks like Bisharp if Bisharp decided, you know what, I'm not playing around no more. And I don't care if this thing is going to be bad, I'm going to use it, I'm going to make it work, and I'm going to bring it to the ladder. Lucky for me, I don't think this will have any problem being good, right? So, before we get into anything serious though, let's talk about its typing. Darksteel, not great defensive typing. I mean, you don't have a lot of weaknesses, you have a whole 3 weaknesses. However, one of them is ground, which is very common. One of them is fire, which is very common in VGC, and one of them is a 4 times weakness to fighting. Now, in general, a 4 times weakness is nothing. It's usually a hindrance for a Pokemon, right? Especially Pokemon that aren't pseudo-legendary Pokemon and don't have the bulk to match up for it. In Dynamax, it wasn't as bad because you could Dynamax and stave off the hit, but we don't have Dynamax anymore. However, what we do have is this wonderful mechanic called Terastallization, where I can take my Dark Steel type with a 4 times weakness to fighting and Terastallize it into Ghost and have a resistance or an immunity to fighting. Or you can Terastallize it into something more defensively synergetic so that you get rid of, say, like your fight and your ground weakness. But for the most part, you might want to Terastallize this thing into a Ghost type, right? So now let's talk about its abilities. First, I'm just going to knock this one out right out of the way. You're not using pressure on this one. It's a terrible ability. Like, if you have no other better options, yes, you can run pressure, and I'm sure it has its uses. But for the most part, you won't be running pressure. Now, I really want to talk about Supreme Overlord, right? When the Pokemon enters a battle, its attack and special attack are slightly boosted for each of its allies in the party that have been defeated. Now, I don't actually know what that means numerically off the top of my head. 10% per fainted teammate. Had the potential to be good. Like a 10% boost to its attack stat, like, if we just assume this thing has max attack real fast, I'm spoiling its stats, but whatever. The 10% boost attack, you know, 220, it's okay. It's a cool ability, but it's not a great ability, right? It's cool, but it's not great. For the most part, you're gonna definitely want to run Defiant on this thing. I brought up Defiant in the Annihilate video. We've all seen Defiant Thundurus in the past. The ability to just not be intimidated is quite strong, right? So, you know, most of the time, your ability is going to be Defiant on this thing. Like, I'm sure if somebody wanted to use Supreme Overlord, they could. It technically doesn't have a drawback, except you can be intimidated, whereas Defiant really has no drawback compared to the other 2 abilities. So now, you already got a brief peek at these, but let's talk about this thing's stats, right? 100 HP, 120 defense, 85 special defense. That's quite tanky. Like, that's a lull on muck levels of book. If we look at these stats here, if we look at, like, Alolan Muck, right? I missed the box. Okay, that doesn't work apparently. Muck. So Alolan Muck is 105 HP, 75 defense, and 100 special defense. So you lost out on 5 base HP, but you gained a lot of defense. You gained 45 defense and lost 15 special defense. So you have like comparable bulk levels to Alolan Muck, right? Same speed tier. That'll come to play later. So, on a second note, its attack stat is 100. So let's look at its attack stat, right? 135 base attack, right? If you want 135 base attack, that's like Salaman's range and Dragonite at 134. Those mons have 135 attack. If we look at Garchomp, who was kind of a menace for a brief period, you actually out damage and out bulk Garchomp. You might outbulk Garchomp. I'm not sure how that. I haven't looked at any calcs because the Pokemon aren't in the calcs yet, but you might outbulk Garchomp, right? Now, let's talk about this thing's speed, right? 50 base speed. Oh no, it's too slow. It's unusable. No, right? This is a great speed tier for Trick Room. At level 50 with a hindering nature and 0 IVs, you have 49 stat. That is really slow, right? Most mons couldn't trick you with Choice Scarf and get outsped at 49 speed. So, right off the bat, you can already tell this thing is going to be a huge Trick Room sweeper. So, let's go talk about this thing's moves. And the first move I'm going to talk about is its signature move, Kowtow Cleave. which, by the way, I think is just an amazing move. If you don't know what a kowtow is, I can't show you because my webcam is mounted to my monitor, but look it up, and you'll get a lot of respect for the move kowtow cleave, right? 85 base power dark move. That is really strong for a dark move, right? When you consider most physical dark moves in the past have been like 80 base power or lower. I think Throat Chop was 70 or 80. Darkest Lariat, I actually don't know what Darkest Lariat was. It may have been 80, may have been 85. Night Slash has only ever been 70. Knockoff is like 60, 65. Assurance is 60. Assurance and Night Slash are of course special cases, but the not missing thing is, it's useful. Like not missing your moves if you just see is huge, and 85 base power is quite dangerous on a mon with 135 base attack, right? Moving on to some of this thing's other moves, like it doesn't have the greatest coverage moves. Like you're never using Metal Claw, you're never using Fury Cutter. You might sometimes use Fury Cutter if you like living life on the edge. You could technically run Assurance on this thing if you're running it in Trick Room with the Pokemon slower than it. Like I could see that working. Night Slash is another option if you want the crit chances instead of kowtow cleave. You do get Iron Defense, though I don't see you using that much. You get Iron Head, which is really great. Steel type stab. That's pretty much like that's your generic Steel type stab. Metagross ran it. Zacian didn't technically run it because it had Behemoth Blade, but like is your generic Steel type stab is Iron Head. Even Garchomp back in Series 9, Series 9 of 2021 ran Iron Head. And you do get Swords Dance here. Now, yes, I brought up that you have Defiant, right? And you can run Swords Dance on the Defiant set, or you can run Swords Dance if you really wanted to run the Supreme Overlord ability, right? Because this at least combats Intimidate and attack drops. So it's one of those things, it's an option that you have that you don't necessarily have to run, right? Pokemon like Garchomp pretty much always ran Swords Dance because it needs the help on the attack. Because it's so Intimidate prone. This one isn't Intimidate prone. Okay, it's not Intimidate prone. So you don't need Swords Dance, but if you call a turn correctly and use Swords Dance on like an Intimidate pivot, you could have +3 at the end of the turn, and that'd be kind of crazy on this one, right? Moving on. This thing has like decent support moves as well, but I'm not going to go over them because I don't really anticipate anybody using this mod for support when you have such an amazing like offensive stab combination. So moving on, like Aerial Ace, okay, Rock Tomb, but I don't know why you're trying to slow Pokemon down if you're playing Trick Room and you're not running this fast. It doesn't have the speed to be run fast, right? Moving on, again, like Brick Break is cool if you get into like a screens meta and you want to break screens. Like, again, I brought up in the last video, I brought up Marowak. Alolan Marowak in 2017 was really known for this. You can run Shadow Claw, but I brought this up in the Houndstone video of, yes, you can run a Dark type coverage move, but Dark and Ghost hit the same types for super effective, so really you're not helping yourself by running Shadow Claw in this one. You can run Foul Play, but I think your own attack will do good enough. I already brought up Swords Dance, I brought up Iron Head. You could run X's on this as well if you wanted to. Like, it's a decent move. I could definitely see people running this on like an Assault Vest set. Stealth Rock Versatile. Other than that, I mean, like I could see Terra Blast being run on this things for like Terra Ghost as well. It is definitely an option for like I said, an Assault Vest set. Out of these X moves, like 2 of these are really good. Like Sucker Punch is really good. I'm glad that this Pokemon gets Sucker Punch like Bisharp did. I think Bisharp got Sucker Punch. And Quick Guard. Quick Guard is really huge, and I'll talk about that in a minute, right? So let's go into some potential sets, right? So the first set that you could run is, we're just gonna say, like, for the time being, we're gonna say Lumberry, Defiance, like Trick Room Attacker, right? So you protect, you get Kowtow Cleave, you get Iron Head, and you get Swords Dance, right? This could be like your very generic set. I'm not saying you have to run max HP, this is just, again, a very generic set. So yes, 252 attack, 252 HP, again, a very generic set. You don't have to run max attack if you're anticipating a Defiant boost, or if you're anticipating that you'll get a Swords Dance off at some point. You could very easily run less attack and invest into bulk. Yes, you're wasting EVs. You're wasting 4 EVs this way, but you could very easily run something like this if you wanted to. Or, you know, if you just want to run max attack. If you want to run max attack on this Mon, nobody's stopping you. You could run this. You could run a set like this, right? The next set we can talk about is like... I spoiled it. Next set you can do is Choice Band, right? This would run pretty much the same moves as the Assault Vest set. So you count on Cleave, you do your Iron Head, you can pick like 2 coverage moves. So you can do like... For the most part, like you pretty much want Terra Blast on this as well. You don't necessarily have to run Terra Blast on this, but you could do Terra Blast, you could do Brick Break, you could do Poison Jab, you could do... You can even put Sucker on this Mon, like Count-Out Cleave, Iron Head. Terra Blast, Sucker Punch could be a very viable moveset. On the Lum set, you could realistically replace Swords Dance with Sucker Punch if you wanted to. In general though, like both Swords Dance and Sucker Punch are very viable sets. Sucker Punch is great for like out of Dynamax utility, like I ran Sucker Punch Matt Weil back in 2018, just in case Trick Room ran out before Matt Weil fainted. So Sucker Punch is definitely an option because Trick Room does not last forever, right? The next set I want to talk about is, again, very similar to the Choice Band set, it's just Assault Vest. Assault Vest Defiant. Again, like, I don't really see a point to not running Defiant. This is cool. Supreme Overlord is cool, but Defiant is optimal. Again, your moves pretty much stay largely the same, not Iron Defense. Iron Head, and then, again, it's just 2 coverage moves of your choice, or Sucker Punch and a coverage move of your choice. I'm just going to stick with my theme of when I say coverage move, I'm just going to slap Terra Blast on it. Again, for the most part, you will Terra type this thing to Ghost. There are certain there's certain instances where you can Terra to Dark or Terra to Steel if you really, not Grass. You can Terra Dark or you can Terra Steel if you want to. Like if you really want to hit somebody with a really strong Count-Out Cleave, you can absolutely go Terra Dark. You just have to be more wary of like Mach Punch. And the next set that I want to talk about is because I said I would talk about this later. You could run your Life Orb on a set, you could run Lumberry. Your item on this is really quite, you can run Chulpanberry on this if you wanted to. Chulpanberry, Defiant, you run Protect, you run your Count-Out Cleave, you run your Iron Head, you run like your Swords Dance. I will learn how to type one of these days. So you run your Swords Dance, and for either Protect or Swords Dance, whichever you feel more comfortable at the time dropping, you can add Quick Guard, right? Anyways, you can run Quick Guard, right? Because a lot of the problem with like Trick Room setters is like a lot of the problem you run into when you're trying to set Trick Room is getting faked out, right? Indeedee helped solve a lot of these problems in 2020, 2021, and 2022. However, and Indeedee is back as well, right? And there's not nearly as many terrain setters. I'm not sure if there's like a Misty terrain setter. I know Pincursion exists as an electric terrain setter. But other than that, I'm not sure what the current terrain setters are, if there is like a Grassy Surge Mon. Yeah, they're unreleased, so we don't have an actual Grassy Surge Mon out right now. And so if you want to, and so the problem is when you're using a support Pokemon to set up Trick Room, what ends up happening is you have one Trick Room and one support Pokemon who's just kind of sitting there doing nothing. This allows you to circumvent that. If they don't have a way to OHKO both of the Mons on the field, you can Quick Guard and block the Fake Out, right? So it's an option. In general, I think like if you're really worried about it, like Eject Button, Psychic Surge, and DD with Follow Me would be your better option for helping set up Trick Room and then getting into Kingambit. But you could do this in sort of like a game 2 scenario where they have like a different, or you do this like a game 1 scenario and then this in a game 2, or game 1 and game 2 scenario. The point is it gives you options, right? And having options is very good for a Mon. And so yeah, that's Kingambit. It's a pretty straightforward video. It is like, this is a bit shorter video compared to so the other ones, like the Houndstone video. I actually almost ran out of my allotted time. Whereas this one is very short, because Kingambit is a very straightforward Pokemon, right? You have your Dark Stab, you have your Steel Stab, you have various coverage moves that you can use, but for the most part, you won't use them. You don't need to, because between Dark and Steel, you don't have a lot of resist. And so my general overview of the Pokemon, very potent trick room attacker, right? 50 base speed, 49 speed at min is actually like really, really slow, right? Like I said, it's one-dimensional, but it's one-dimensional to a point where like it's not bad one-dimensional, because it was like, it's one-dimensional in the way that like, in a different way, but like Kyogre teams back in 2022 were also very one-dimensional, but it's not one-dimensional. It's not like an opponent can walk, it's like, oh, it's Kingambit, it's one-dimensional, I don't have to worry about it. It's, oh, Kingambit, it's one-dimensional, but I still have to worry about this Mon because it's still like a huge threat, right? This Mon has, again, has very strong offensive sets. You have like your Protect Sword Stance sets. If your opponent is very wary of Defiant, you have your Protect Sucker Punch sets. 2 great stabs of 80 base power each. Amazing attack stats, really great bulk. So yeah, overall, I think Kingambit will be a really great Mon. It's a really straightforward Mon. Much in the same way like Gmax Hatterene in 2020 was also a very straightforward Pokemon. But sometimes there's nothing wrong with really straightforward Pokemon that can just come out, do damage, and win you games, right? So yeah, that's all I have. Again, make sure, please, try to like and subscribe to the video. My goal is to hit 50 followers by January 1st, or 50 subscribers by January 1st. That would be amazing if I could hit that goal. More would be awesome. I'm accepting of all growth that this channel gets. So yeah, just again, like and subscribe helps me a lot. And for the question of the day, starting in December, how would people feel about like maybe twice daily updates or twice daily uploads, right? Because there are a lot of Pokemon. I have a whole list of Pokemon and I've knocked 4 of them off the list. This is the 4th Pokemon I've knocked off the list. I still have a bunch of new Pokemon from Paldea, as well as the Ruin Pokemon, the Pokemon with Photosynthesis, and the Pokemon with Quark Drive, which I'm not sure if those will be legal, but if they are, I will definitely cover them. So, just let me know how you as viewers would feel about twice daily uploads, if that'd be too much, if that wouldn't be enough, or if that's not enough, I'm sorry, but if twice daily uploads would be too much, if it would swamp you with content or burn you out from the channel. Other than that, yeah, I love Kingambit. This Mon looks cool. The shiny's not loaded, but this Mon, like I said, this has to be like my favorite Mon to come out of Gen 9. Like, I love Kingambit. So yeah, again, let me know about the twice daily videos in December, and let me know what your thoughts on Kingambit are. Do you like this Mon? Do you think it looks threatening? Do you think it's cool? Do you think this Mon is as cool as I do? And yeah, have a good one. Peace. I pressed the wrong button. Peace. I still pressed the wrong button. Oh my god.